Welcome to Toni Unleashed, the podcast where we unleash the truth about all things pets.
Our research and anecdotal evidence matched with pet expert interviews will help you help your pet thrive.
We are here to answer questions, divulge information, and spread awareness about what's really going on in the world of pets.
I am your co-host, Emily Taylor, pet nutrition enthusiast.
And I'm Toni Shalaski, owner of Healthy Pet Products with 3 locations in the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area, and recently expanded to Port Charlotte, Florida.
Welcome to the show.
Hey everyone, and welcome back again to another episode of Toni Unleashed, the podcast. Today we have one of our favorite guests, Rebecca Rose. Rebecca is the founder and owner of InClover. InClover was born from the human-based biochemistry research of our president and founder, Rebecca Rose. Her background is in women's healthcare, where she was part of a team funded by the National Institute of Health and Center for Disease Control to research the secrets of a healthy immune system. Their mission was simple: explore how healthy bodies function and find out how supplements can help all bodies achieve optimal health. Rebecca, who has a self-proclaimed obsession with her own pets, and I've met them, I get the obsession, can help all bodies achieve optimal health. So, InClover Research, the first scientifically developed pet supplement company, was created and has been committed to bringing optimal health to your pets ever since. So today we're going to talk about the science behind InClover, and we're going to dig deep into gut health.
Yeah. Sick.
You need a script.
No, my line's right there, but it says Rebecca's response next to it.
Thank you for the wonderful introduction, Toni. And I am thrilled to be here talking about the science and how we can use it every day to make our pets' lives better and make them more comfortable. And actually, we'll talk a little bit about how we can see the science with gut health. So it's not something that's abstract, or you have to believe that just because we say it, it's true. You'll actually see it if you stick with us and listen to how to do that.
Cool.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So we talk about the gut all the time. I mean, it is honestly one of our most frequently asked topics. You know, my dog has gas. My cat throws up all the time. My cat has hairballs. My cat's litter box stinks.
Chronic diarrhea, loose stool.
You name it. Bad breath.
Mm-hmm.
Allergy symptoms. Mm-hmm. So with that being
Frito
said,
smell.
Fritos, gotta love the Frito feet. People do come in specifically asking for probiotics to help to solve these problems. So I know that probiotics are a good thing, right? But I think you have a little bit of a different outlook on probiotics versus prebiotics. So can you elaborate on that?
Absolutely. And this is a little bit of my soapbox. So I'll ask to be indulged a little bit. Mm-hmm. But I have been working in the area of the microbiome for years. And I believe that it is the key to our good health and for helping our animals with good health overall is with the microbiome. So when you ask, who would you give something like Optigest, who would you give a digestive supplement to? I would be hard pressed to find an animal that cannot benefit from Optigest. And with Optigest, what we focus on is in the microbiome, it's made up of good bacteria. Good bacteria are called probiotics. So those are the bacteria in the gut that are acting like little nutrient factories. So these bacteria, as unlikely as it is, they're taking in nutrients and then they're giving off things like short chain fatty acids and vitamins, things that are really going to make the body overall more healthy. Every animal has their own unique names, types of probiotics in their body. And it differs from animal to animal. And over the years, genetically, they've just developed the right combination of good bacteria in their gut. With Optigest, what we've done is we have determined through testing what the optimal amount of food for those good bacteria is, and that's called the prebiotic. So the prebiotic feeds those bacteria, the good healthy bacteria in the gut. So we're adding this prebiotic in just the right amount so that it will selectively feed the good bacteria. Now, your animal is going to have a combination of good and bad bacteria. They're getting into things. They're just going to have a combination. Always have bacteria in their gut, some of it good, some of it bad. If they're on something like antibiotics, it's going to take the population of both good and bad bacteria down. So it'll decrease the population, both good and bad, not selective. Antibiotics just take out bacteria. So what the prebiotic does, and the benefit of that, is that you can give it with the antibiotic. It's not going to kill it off like it would a probiotic. You can give it with the antibiotic, and it will selectively increase the balance of the good bacteria while the bad bacteria are still getting destroyed by the antibiotics. So that would be one example when you would say, I'd rather provide a prebiotic like Optigest than a probiotic. There have been 3 studies now that have been done with probiotics and have shown that the probiotics go through the system into the stool. So you really have to add large amounts, or spore formers, something that can live through that harsh digestive system. But if you add too much, or if you have an immunocompromised animal, so an animal that's maybe on chemotherapy or is just an older animal, just has some immune health issues, then you can get a level where they're actually replacing the native bacteria with bacteria that are not from a dog or cat. The commercial probiotics would be like from a goat or from the dirt, from a dairy animal. And in those cases, you would want to go to the prebiotic like Optigest. So with Optigest, what we've done, instead of adding a foreign strain of bacteria, we've added a clinically proven level of the prebiotic, the food that selectively feeds those good bacteria in the body. And then we've added also digestive enzymes. And that's it. It's 100% active. It's a really clean, easy thing to give for digestive health.
Yeah, and it works really well in like it doesn't have a taste or an odor to it. So it's a great option for, cats or picky eaters that maybe would pick out any sort of smell or taste in a supplement. So you can hide it really well in almost any animal's food.
There's definitely no odor. There is a little bit of taste because I use it myself.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. It's a little bit on the sweet side. I put a teaspoon in water and take it with a meal because it should be given with a meal.
Absolutely. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
It should always be given with food.
So are you so strong in this belief of not needing the probiotics? Like, even if we have a dog or a cat that has been on an extensive course or repeated course, because that a lot of times that's what we see is repeated courses of antibiotics and antibiotics and antibiotics. So do you feel so strongly to truly say never give probiotics?
I personally would never give my pets probiotics. And my favorite story is, and not to slam probiotics at all, but just the technology of having clinically tested levels. So that's the important thing. You can't just add a spoon wave of the prebiotic, but clinically tested levels of the prebiotic that's in Optigest. And my favorite story is that there was a company that cleans up your backyard, picks up the poop, the dog poop in the backyard. And they go around in trucks and go from house to house cleaning up poop. And they have the shovels in the back of the truck, and they're using the same shovels as they're going from house to house. There was a a section of Denver, Colorado. We're in Boulder, Colorado. So in Denver, Colorado, where we got called in to say, there are all these animals who are on long-term repeated antibiotics for Clostridium, which is a spore-forming bacteria, really hard to get rid of. So a local vet had called us and said, do you think that your Optigest might help with that? Because we've tried everything, putting them on antibiotics, and then as soon as they go off, it starts again. So they had figured out where the animals were getting the Clostridium. They had informed the service, who changed the protocol of just using the same shovel for everything, because one animal was infected and then it spread. And these spore formers can live in the soil for years and years. So bad bacteria, bad spread. It was a bad situation. So we went in and we provided the Optigest, and we were able to show that we could break the cycle so that they no longer had to go through a run of antibiotics, stop, get the C. difficile, the Clostridium difficile again, go back to antibiotics. But we were able to, they went on antibiotics, started on Optigest, and did not have to go back to antibiotics.
Wow. That speaks volumes. So that being said, that's also a great answer for customers that say, oh, well, I just give my dog yogurt. It's not a natural flora.
No, exactly. It's not a natural flora. It has a high sugar content. Yeah, it's much better to give Optigest, to give something that the animal can immediately see a difference.
And am I correct in saying that everybody's flora varies?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right.
And when I was in college in a microbiology class, we got to prove that. So all of these little college students had to swab all over, and then we compared, and we were from all over the world, and everybody's flora was different, and it was amazing the things that some people have.
Wow.
And they're healthy, but it's just everybody has the right flora for their body.
When you have a dog that has only been on chicken its entire life, how is their flora and their gut health going to differ from a dog that is on a rotational diet and is being exposed to so many new things? Because in my head, the way that works is when you're exposed to so many more things, your body's continuously producing those flora and those enzymes to break new things down and to find ways to absorb them and use them as energy and fuel.
The one thing about the microbiome and where these bacteria are in the body is that these bacteria are growing just before the tail. So in that large intestine, right before the tail, is where they're taking residence and they're producing all of these nutrients. So you have other bacteria in the system, a lot of other bacteria, and they vary through what you're feeding. They vary through the environment, what you come in contact with. But what I'm focused on is that area right before the tail, because that's where the bacteria that are really going to make a difference nutritionally, that's where they're housed.
Okay, so totally with you. Talk to us about what the ingredient is that is feeding the good bacteria.
The prebiotic that feeds the good bacteria, the one that we use in Optigest, is an organic inulin. It's plant-based, comes from the root of an agave plant, and it has specific chemical structure, bonds, that make it unavailable for the bad bacteria, the pathogens. They can't break through that. And so when that was discovered years and years ago, it created an entire industry of healthy foods in Japan. So it was initially discovered in Japan, and it's a pharmaceutical in Japan. that you have this structure that allows you to feed only the beneficial bacteria. So it went from human food to infant formula, because in mother's milk, you naturally have prebiotics, to pet food. So in some pet foods, they would add, and it was mostly to high, like endurance animals, like sled dogs and things, that they would use this. And so that's how prebiotics really started. It was very slow to come to the United States. In Europe, where they don't allow antibiotics to be used with food animals like chickens, you can't, they have restrictions on just giving them antibiotics preventatively like we do in the United States. And so there were studies done to show that the prebiotic work just as well as giving, these were done in chickens, as giving a chicken antibiotics.
Love it.
To get them healthy again. So in Europe, but it's much more expensive than giving antibiotics. So, but because of government restrictions, prebiotics, very common. In the United States, however, we are about 15 years behind. And so we're just now getting some momentum around people understanding how prebiotics are different and making an educated decision of, what do I want to do? Do I want to do probiotics or do I want to do prebiotics?
Well, one thing I really, really, really love is when a dog or cat is on antibiotics, you can feed Optigest while they are on it. So I love that. Okay, so let's talk about the enzymes that are in Optigest.
We use 4 digestive enzymes in Optigest to break down the common nutrients that are in your pet's food. So we use a protease that would break down the protein. So if you're feeding a salmon diet or a beef diet or a chicken diet, it's going to break that down and allow the body to utilize it. So if you have an animal who's maybe they have a little bit of allergy issue too with a protein, that can help because it's breaking it down. But mostly you want it just to get the good nutrients in the food. Then we have an amylase, which is the second enzyme, and that breaks down the starches. So if your food has potato or sweet potato or something starchy in it, it will break that down. Amylase is an important ingredient. That enzyme is found in the saliva. So that's what the body uses to start the process of breaking down your food. The third enzyme is cellulase, which is not made by the animal. So that's something you have to add, and that would break down plant matter. So if you have, say you're feeding a food that has some green beans or some vegetables in it, you'll break that down. And then the last one is lipase, and lipase breaks down the healthy fats, like the omega-3 fatty acids and the omega-6 fatty acids that are in the food. All of the enzymes that are in Optigest are plant-based. So we ferment them in big stainless steel soup kettles. We use a fungi that we break down, and we put in, like for the protease, we put in a very high protein substrate, we break it down, and then we collect off the enzyme, the protease, from that. So it's a very pure way to get just the right blend of the enzymes.
So in our episode last week, which is basically considered Dental 101, we called it, I think, right, Em?
I don't remember when this episode was. 2 weeks ago, maybe?
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're getting a little more detailed, but we did in Dental 101, we touched on
digestion starting in the mouth.
Or digestion starting in the mouth. And a lot of your average consumer doesn't realize that. And, we stress that it starts at the entry point and truly ends at the exit point. That's your digestive system. Right?
Yeah.
So, and then amylase, is that the enzyme that cats lack? Or is that a different one? Okay. So cats lack that.
Cats lack that one.
Okay. So, by giving cats Optigest, that would help them if a customer truly was not whatever economically able or resistant to not feeding kibble, that would help a cat break down the starches in kibble. Am I correct?
Yeah, and we did a little test with, we went rogue. We went to Walmart and we bought Old Roy, and we took Optigest and we sprinkled it into we did like a glass beaker of Old Roy, added some water, added some Optigest, and you could see it break down. There was so much starch in it. And so the worse the food, the more dramatic the experiment is. And so that's something you can do at home, is just take a little bit of your food, or we use oatmeal, and we sprinkle in the Optigest and just watch it turn to a soup.
And you even have that video on your website, don't you? Do you still have that?
We do. And we also have it in all of our social media feeds.
Okay.
InClover Pet.
So would you go as far as to say that almost every animal, cat or dog, that is on a kibble diet should be on Optigest?
Absolutely. And what you'll see as the human, the person with thumbs taking care of them, is that you'll notice that by giving them Optigest, all of a sudden the stool color is changing, because now the enzymes are breaking down the nutrients and they're being absorbed instead of just flushed out. You'll also notice the smell, both the smell of the stool and the body is going to improve, because the prebiotics are going to get rid of the bacteria that produce chemical compounds that are bad, like putrephins is one of them. And so you're getting rid of those bad bacteria. So everything is going to smell better. And you're actually going to see the difference in the animal in a very easy, tangible way.
And this can be off record. This doesn't have to be on the episode, but would Optigest then be a great resource and or an additional supplement to our kidney pancreatitis dogs, helping with the filtration system and helping absorb those necessary nutrients and whatnot?
We get that question a lot. And yes, it is. It's a little counterintuitive, but if you have pancreatitis, you have an issue with the balance of the enzymes. And by providing the animal with the enzyme, with the digestive enzyme, you're going to balance out that process. And so the difference between the enzymes that would be typically provided by the vet and Optigest are that the ones provided by the vet are from a pancreas of a pig. So they're animal-based. And the ones that we provide are plant-based. And the reason we do that is because with the animal-based enzymes, they work at a very narrow pH. So to what you just commented on, Toni, that digestion starts from the tongue all the way to the tail, with the animal-based proteins that are enzymes that are in Optigest, those enzymes start working from the tongue to the tail, as opposed to animal-based enzymes
which have already worked from tongue to tail previously in the pig.
Yeah, and they only work in a small area when you're feeding them back, small pH area. And sometimes animals will have allergic reactions to those because it still has some of the animal DNA on it. So you're still getting a little bit of that. So we don't use any animal enzymes.
And whatever the animal ate, they could be reacting
I was going to say that if it's a well-fed,
so if it's corn-fed or whatever.
Yeah. So we believe it's important to go with plant-based enzymes. You still get all of the benefits and more, because it does work over a broader pH range, and you don't have the allergic reaction, potentially.
Are we doing a bad thing? Like, should we take a break from Optigest occasionally? And to elaborate on that, is it a bad thing to always provide digestive enzymes? So is the dog or cat going to stop
You mean like give the dog a break to allow the body to do what it needs to do without extra help.
Right.
And that's a common misconception. So the supplementing with the enzymes are not going to prevent the enzymes, the pancreas, from producing the enzymes. So it won't prevent it. We're just supplementing the process. So in the case of pancreatitis, where the pancreas kind of has run amok, we're providing the animal with the balance that they need. So we're not going in and shutting off a switch where the body is producing and it's saying, okay, you're giving it to me orally, so I'm not going to produce it anymore. So you wouldn't have to worry about daily use of digestive enzymes or prebiotic. It's a little bit different mechanism when you have a pancreatitis issue, but it still doesn't go to the pancreas and turn that process off.
Got it.
So there are some compounds that you do want to give for 5 days and then give 2 days off. So there are some things that the body does benefit from taking a break. But in the case of Optigest, you're continually feeding the animal. And so if you take a break, you're simply making it more difficult to get that optimal level of digestive health, where the microbiome is at just the right balance and you're absorbing all of the nutrients in the food.
Cool. Love it.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good episode.
So did we touch on everything Optigest?
The only thing we did not touch on that I think we can do in like a minute is, because I know we're almost done, how we can add Optigest to a dog that does not have any symptoms and just, switching foods even. Or going from one food to the next that's not having loose stool or gas or anything, how it's beneficial for that and how it's beneficial when we're switching foods.
Optigest is great to use when you have an animal who has digestive upset, diarrhea, gas, constipation. But where I really like to see people start on Optigest is if they're doing a food change, which is really hard on the animal's digestive tract, and it's going to be sloughing off cells and doing all sorts of hard things internally. The Optigest is going to soothe all of that and balance it out. Also, we know that about 70% of the immune system is housed in the digestive tract. So if you can get the digestive tract healthy, then you're going to boost the immune system. And so who doesn't want their animal to have a better immune system?
Right.
So if you're thinking about what can I do to get the most nutrient out of this really good food that I'm feeding, Optigest would be your number one go-to. But the flip side of that is if you're not there yet and you're feeding a kibble, it's going to help you get the very best nutrient intake that you can get from that kibble. And it's going to help you on that journey very inexpensively to get the nutrition that your pet's body it thrives with.
Right.
Last, really, really quickly, is there such thing as putting your dog or cat on Optigest at too young of an age?
Good question.
Well, and think about this. Mm-hmm. So the prebiotic that's in Optigest is naturally found in mother's milk. And so what it's doing is it's giving that immune head start to the animal. So most of the work that has been done with prebiotics has been done with babies or baby humans or baby animals. And that's why you see prebiotics in all the infant formulas, because they're trying to simulate mother's milk and get that immune head start. So it's the exact right thing to do with our young animals as they're going through that growth cycle. Let's give them every benefit of good digestive and immune health.
Awesome.
Woohoo. Wow. Woo. I can't believe we did it. Yeah.
Whew.
If you're hearing this message, you've listened to our entire episode, and for that, we thank you.
If you have any questions or would like to follow our other projects, join our Toni Unleashed and Healthy Pet Products social media pages like Facebook and Instagram.
Please leave us a review and share episodes with your friends so we can further expand our message to listeners just like you.
Don't hesitate to tell us which topics you would like us to cover in future episodes. To get in touch, you can reach us by emailing info@tonyunleashed.com or by sending us a message on social media.
And reminder that episodes drop bi-weekly on Tuesdays. Thanks again for all your support.